Hello and welcome to the College Park Scholar 101 Science and Global Change first year Colloquium 2. Our topic will be impacts of climate change on rice production. My name is Raymond Wang.
I'm Mitch Maher.
And I'm Chris Lowe.
Today we're going to be talking about a few different things regarding climate change and rice production. First up will be some general facts. Next we'll go into some specific countries, including Pakistan, India, and China. And finally, we'll finish it off with the true science and biggest effects that climate change has on rice production.
Over half of the world's population relies on rice. 510 million tons of rice were grown in 2017, and there's a projected 565.6 million tons of rice to be grown in 2025. It contributes to global climate change, and its climate change impact can impact its growth and production.
Pakistan is one of the main suppliers of rice, and they've seen a big impact since that's such a big part of their economy and their lifestyle. It's the second staple food and a very, very large majority of their economy. It is a major exporter of rice as well to neighboring countries, which means that a lot of the money that goes in and out of Pakistan is from rice. 2.7 million hectares were set aside for rice production, and 6.8 million tons were produced from 2015 to 2016. Cultivated land and fertilizer use also are a very big market because they are used so much in the production of rice in Pakistan, which takes us to the part of climate change in Pakistan. Pakistan is very, very affected by climate disasters, and as we know, these disasters will only get worse over time. As you can see in the image on the left, there's been heavy flooding, there's been torrential downpours, there's been droughts. They really see it all there. And while higher temperature does increase the rice production in the short term, down the road it can cause a lot of issues with rice quality and just sustainability, especially due to soil quality being on the decline due to weather changes.
India is the largest exportable country of rice, and they have exported about 9.8 million tons of rice in 2019 alone. And they are the second largest producer of rice, right after China. The graph on the left shows the amount of rice that India has exported by each year, starting from the 2018 to 2019 year, all the way up to the 2022 to 2023 year. India so far it has the highest population in the world as well. And so the amount of rice being grown in the country is very important to being able to support that population growth that's currently happening in India. The agriculture in India is very sensitive and it's the most exposed to climate change. So meaning that that small differences in climate change can drastically affect how agriculture works in India. India is also the second highest producer of greenhouse gases as well. And because of that, they have seen an increase in CO2, which affects climate change uh, as a whole. And with the increase of climate change, it means increased temperatures, higher temperatures mean that there will be rising sea levels and 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 increased mean temperatures all around, all of which affect the rice production in India. And on the left, you can see a graph or a chart of all the different factors that can affect the rice production as a whole.
China is the biggest producer of rice in the world, as China's rice accounts for 34% of the world's rice production. Demand for rice will increase, but there has been an observed rice yield stagnation. 40% of total rice in China that are planted are double cropped, in which they were planted twice and harvested twice in a year rather than once a year. Rice yield changes due to climate change. In 2000, central China produces more rice than in northern and southern China. However, projections suggest that central China's rice production will decrease while southern and northern China's rice production will increase. Planting periods for rice have changed due to climate change. China is the country most responsible for the most greenhouse gases emissions, and they have also seen a huge increase in carbon dioxide emissions. Similar to Pakistan, natural disasters have plagued China. China will be heavily impacted by rising sea levels in the future, which will affect climate change.
These pie charts here pretty much greatly demonstrate the relationship between rice production between countries. As you can see, two of the biggest colors on these graphs are China and India for both production and consumption, which is one of the reasons that what we're talking about is so important. China produces the most rice by far, and they also consume the most rice by far. So this tells us that this is not going to just go away, and that if something like a huge disaster were to happen to even any of these countries, it could be a great detriment to the rice economy and the livelihood of these countries. Rice production will have to continue to grow as population and consumption grows in the future.
Climate change and rice have an asymmetrical relationship, as climate change affects rice production more than rice production affects climate change. Rice needs a certain temperature to properly grow, as it cannot be too high or too low in order for the rice to grow properly with high quality. Climate change will cause increased sea levels, which will put more salt into the soil and reduce the amount of soil nutrients, which is vital in rice growth. Climate change will also reduce the amount of rainfall, as a low amount of rainfall can cause the rice to starve to death.
This is the end of our presentation. These are all of our sources that we have used. We hope that you realize the importance that climate change has on rice production and how the decrease of rice production can affect the many countries that are out there in the world. Thank you for watching our presentation, and we hope that you will do something about climate change in the future.